knowing where so and so is going to be at a certain time when you're running a certain play, or who's making the screen, where they're going to roll off to, where you can dish them the ball, things like that. I don't think that's going to take a whole lot of time to come back to you. It might slip a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue. I think the games will still be just as good. Action-wise, without fans, like I've said before, it's probably going to be a little weird. You're going to hear a lot of one thing that my wife can't stand when I watch basketball is the sounds of all the squeaky shoes just it go all over the place, and like it doesn't bother me, but she can't stand it. She like during a live basketball game, she's fine with it. But on TV, I guess, those microphones really pick up those sneaker sounds squeaking across the floor, and it's you can hear it a lot more. So you're going to hear all of that. You're going to hear pretty much every word the players have to say, because you're not going to have any fans. Probably not going to. I don't know if they're going to have a DJ come in and play music for how. The NBA teams, they get an in-house DJ, and they play music for the home team. They play different music for when the opposing team has the ball, things like that. So I don't know if the NBA is going to do something like that and designate what team is going to be home or away. I'm sure they're going to have to do something at least like that, at least for, jerseys' sake. Somebody's going to have to wear the white jersey and somebody's going to have to wear the color jersey for home and away. So I don't know if they're planning on having any music to go along with that. But you can pretty much count. There's going to be a lot of that censor button's going to be hit a lot because there's a lot of things that we don't normally hear on TV when players are talking or getting fouled. You're going to hear all kinds of F-bombs, S-bombs and all kinds of stuff. It's so it might have to get some sort of a different rating system for the season. I don't know for sure, but it's definitely we're definitely gonna be able to hear everyone's little voices and sounds and everything that comes out of their mouths during the game. So I think that'll be pretty interesting because I've always wanted to hear more about what the players are doing and what they're saying to each other and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but the NBA, and so when I said earlier that there's been talk about the NBA taking away from the Black Lives Matter movement, and I've already expressed that I think the best way to not necessarily make a change, but to keep keep awareness going is to play the games, make statements, carry a sign, wear a T-shirt, something that says something that will grab the attention of all the news networks all over the country. It's going to get played, so that means it's going to get talked about, which means it's going to be awareness will keep being sent out to the American population, which is what we need because as Americans, we pick and choose what news we want to follow, but for the most part, a lot of people follow the local news still, and I don't really think from what I've seen in local news, there's not a whole lot of political bias in local news like there is with the major newses, like you got your Fox News and your MSNBC, like those guys are they're all kind of pretty much one-sided in their views and how they want to talk about politics and things like that. But your local news stations will pick that up. They will, they're going to show the NBA games and they're going to show what star players are wearing or saying or doing during these games, which is going to keep the awareness going, which is I think vital for this movement to keep going and have a place in our society to actually make a change. One thing I thought was interesting is that the NBA, like all sports leagues, the NBA has come out and made a statement saying, like racial injustices, we won't stand for this. We're going to make a change, all this. But I don't know what exactly they've done. I mean, the NBA to me is like the epitome of like social change out of all sports leagues. NHL, it's basically all white guys playing the game. They really have no cares, it feels like, with like social injustices or racial inequality and things like that. So they're pretty much out of the question. Baseball, kind of the same way, even though it's definitely more diverse than the NHL is. But you don't really ever see or hear anything about the MLB. And right now, like I said, they're a hot mess right now. There's who knows what's going on with them and if there'll be a season or not. I mean, it's already midway through June. You know, that's close to the All-Star break. It's like a month away, I think, from the All-Star break. And so who knows if they're even going to have a season. But the NFL out of all leagues, the one who's had the most plantation-like the way they run their business has come out and like made statements, and they've made like I think it was like $250 million contributions to something to put forth an effort saying that they want to help out in some way with racial inequality and racial injustices. And man, that shocked the hell out of me. It's like the NFL finally. I mean, it actually shocked me when the NFL came out and said that they were wrong about something. When's the last time the NFL has ever come out and said they were wrong about anything? I mean, it's hard for them to come out and say that they're wrong about the referees or anything when clearly the referees made a bad call about something. And Roger Goodell actually came out and said that, it's basically about time to get Colin Kaepernick back into the league. And I kind of want to touch on that a little bit, going off of everything else. Like, I do feel like Kaepernick was blackballed, I guess you could say, in a way, from coming back to the NFL for his silent protest that he did that some people don't agree with, which I don't quite understand. He chose to protest in a very, I thought, tasteful manner, and he was even told by a member of the military to do that. So you don't really see anyone's argument against that. So if you do have an argument against that, sorry, you're just wrong in my eyes. You're just wrong. You just are. You can't pick and choose how someone gets to protest. You just can't. But anyway, Colin Kaepernick. Roger Goodell has stated that he thinks teams should be open to bringing Kaepernick's return back to the NFL. And I've always felt that he should have never been gone from the NFL. I mean, he took the 49ers to a Super Bowl when he was with the team. I mean, other than last season, they haven't done anything other than that with Kaepernick. Now, I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback or anything like that, but he's sure as hell a lot better than some of these backups that some of these teams have. So when you look at, all these teams in the NFL and not one of them giving him at least a backup job as a quarterback, then it's pretty clear that the man's been blackballed, kept away from the league because of his protest and everything like that. I mean, I don't know how you can argue about that. The guy is he's a starting quarterback and a good starting quarterback. I'm not going to say he's elite. He's not the top 5. He's not the top 10. But he's definitely a good starting quarterback. I know he's better than at least, like, he's definitely in the top 15, top 20 of some of these starting quarterbacks that are in the league. And he's definitely deserves a shot to be a backup at the very least, I mean, it's not like Joe Flacco where you had one great year and get a big head and you just suck for the rest of your career, So, but, it surprised me that Roger Goodell came out and said that he would support Kaepernick's return to the NFL, which is great and all, but, what do the other owners think about this? Are the other owners going to, feel the same way? And we know Roger Goodell's got pull, or at least we think he does, but really it's the owners that have the pull. So maybe, just maybe, the owners have all gotten together and thought, well, maybe not all of them, but maybe the majority have gotten together and saying, like, look, this movement is obviously bigger than we expected. It's about time we get on board and support our players who are predominantly black. I mean, I think when you don't come out and support something like that to your employees or whatever you want to call them, it's pretty disrespectful. And I can kind of understand how players would feel angered and, resentful to their owners and to a league that doesn't really seem to care about them until now. So change. So to me, that's a big sign that change can happen. You finally get something out of these horrendous tragedies, and even though it's a small change, it's still a change. The fact that the NFL is coming out in support of Black Lives Matter and racial injustice, just coming out and saying something is huge for the NFL. It's monumental because you've never heard anything like that before. All you always hear is players. You never hear coaches. You never hear owners. You definitely don't hear Roger Goodell or anyone else in the upper offices in the NFL come out and making a statement about something like that. So that is huge. That's awesome. And hopefully that continues. And like I said before, I'm shocked that the NBA isn't doing more. Like, if the NBA really wanted to get the season started and listening to its players, I feel like they would try to implement some sort of like getting involved in the community somehow, donating organizations that are involved in the black communities, things like that. You can't leave it all up to the players. I mean, I think it is, the players have to be behind some of it, but the league as a whole needs to make an initiative, and they don't have to come out with this whole huge initiative right now, but come out with something. Say something. Do something. Be involved somehow. But they haven't said anything. It's just more or less about the postseason and everything. But they haven't come out and said anything about what they're going to do to show support for this kind of movement that's going on, which is weird because the NBA has always been, like I said before, up on the gay rights community, all kinds of racial, social injustices. Usually the NBA's on top of that stuff. Like when they took away the All-Star from North Carolina because of what they're doing with their bathroom rules for transgendered people, and the NBA was like, we're not going to stand for that. So I don't understand why the NBA hasn't done a little bit more to be to kind of show a little bit more initiative in doing something as well. The players have been doing a pretty good job of getting involved in the communities and things like that, which is, getting involved in the process and things like protest can be a little scary because, you're putting yourself at risk in catching the coronavirus by packing yourselves in with all these people and these crowds. But, that's, I guess that's a small price to pay for making a change, a drastic change that this country desperately needs. But yeah, hopefully the NBA will get something figured out along those lines there and can continue to move forward. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more going on and knowing what's going on with the NBA season. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Sports Cognition. I wanted to thank everybody for joining me and listening. I really appreciate all the support and everything. I really would like to hear more feedback from everybody. Just wanting to know, like, what your thoughts are. Did you hate it? Did you like it? Like I want to hear from you guys. Let's keep the conversation going. But thank you all again for listening. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe, rate, review, share with your loved ones, and please give me a great positive review. There, like I always say, there's enough negativity out there in the world right now. Let's instead of sending out the negative, send out the positive. Let's spread the positivity and the love. And that's what Sports Cognition's all about. It's all about the love, baby. I love you guys. And I hope you all find some sort of enjoyment in this podcast, and I really do appreciate